Hello and welcome back to UCS Basics. Today we're covering the James Bond question: shaken or stirred? Now, whether you're going to shake or stir your cocktail really depends on what the ingredients are. Stirred cocktails are going to be the ones that are more liquor prominent, mostly liquors, liqueurs, and minor additions. Shaken cocktails are the ones that need to emulsify ingredients. Those ingredients would be anything that clouds the drink. Fruit juices, eggs, cream, anything along those lines. I'm also going to talk to you about shaking, stirring, and dilution. So we're going to start off with stirred drinks, which means we need a mixing glass. Today I'm just using water, since I'm about to run through a few different ways to do this, and I don't want to use that much alcohol. So when you're making an under-diluted stirred drink, like an old-fashioned, you measure out your liquid components, and then you grab a chunk of ice. Now, as we've spoken about before, you're going to want to crack your ice a little bit because that will increase the surface area and will chill your drink faster. Because this is a fairly small proportion of liquid, I am only using one of these larger chunks of ice. If you're using, say, the standard ice tray size, I would probably do 2 or 3 cubes of this variety. Now, when you're stirring, you want to hold the spoon roughly like this. So I've got it caught in between my fingers there, and you want it held somewhat loosely so that it can freely spin as it goes around. And you're just going to swing it around the outside of the glass. We're not looking to create any air bubbles. We're just looking to chill and slightly dilute this. For an old-fashioned, I'm stirring about 10 seconds because it's going to be served over ice, which will continue to dilute it. Grab your julep strainer and strain the drink over your cube. Stirring is good because it doesn't create a lot of small ice chips that are going to float in the drink and change the dilution later on, or just be sharp hits of cold within the drink. For a martini, since we're chilling to full dilution, I'm going to add a second whole chunk of ice. When you go to full dilution, you want more ice just to weigh things down. We're going to take that same hold and then exactly the same, we're just stirring it a little bit longer, about 15 to 20 seconds. Once you're done stirring, grab your julep strainer and again, just strain into your glass. You want to stay low over your drink so you don't introduce bubbles. Now, you'll be able to see in just a second, this glass is instantly cold to the touch, even though I didn't pre-chill this glass. And that's exactly what we want. You can see the condensation is already built up there. Now, if you don't have a mixing glass and don't want to spend the money on one, a great alternative is a French press coffee pot. You can see that it's very similar in build. It's got the same general proportions, tall straight walls, a nice wider mouth, and it's got a pour spout. This is a great alternative, and you would just follow the exact same process. Now, if we're looking at shaking, we have a lot more options. We've got the Boston shaker, we have the 1828 shaker, and we have the cobbler shaker. I don't particularly like the cobbler shaker due to the temperature change. This cap on top can get stuck on there, especially with the all-metal varieties, and then these two pieces never create quite the right seal. The traditional Boston shaker is okay. However, again, between metal and glass, you never quite get the right seal. You get different temperatures, and the weight is always off. Also, if this gets stuck and you give it a smack, you can crack the glass, which means party's over, throw away the drink, the ice, everything. So I like to go with this pair of weighted metal tins. These are made by Corico. They fit perfectly together. They make just a perfect straight line down the side, and then you can just hit the top and smack them together. If you can grab one and the other holds, you can see that we've created the perfect seal. And then you can just give it a smack on the side and it'll pop right out. So let's talk about shaking with this. If I were going to mix a daiquiri, you add your ingredients first, and then you just toss in a little bit of ice. A single larger cube is going to be better, as it's going to aerate and emulsify these ingredients better in your drink. You always build in the smaller of the shakers, because then you know that your ingredients will fit. So, line up your tins, give it a smack, and if you can pick it up by the top tin, you know that it's sealed. Flip it over. Remember, when you're using this kind of shaker, you want to make sure that the smaller side is facing you, just in case it does pop off. It's on you and not on your guests, your partner, whoever. So you want to grab mostly down on these insulated sections so heat isn't transferred from your hands, and then you want to roll the ice back and forth to temper it. You're not looking to chip or break up the ice, you're looking to get it integrated throughout the drink. You want to start out kind of slow and then build up to speed. When you get up to speed, you want to shake very hard. You'll go back and forth, swinging the ice all the way around the tins in a circular motion, and then you just hit to release. Grab your Hawthorne strainer, and with this method you'll likely have some smaller chips of ice and little chunks of whatever you're emulsifying, whether that be pulp from citrus juice or a little bit of egg whites, so it's ideal to double strain this kind of drink. Run it through a Hawthorne and a fine strainer, and you're ready to go. And now if you look, you'll see that this cube didn't break up, it just rounded down a little bit and got smaller. Ideally, you don't want to break or shatter the ice, you just want to soften the edges. And now if you look at the drink, you can see I don't have little chips of ice in there. You can see some bubbles, which is exactly what we want from a drink like this. That would be your emulsified sugars, juices, etc. Now, for something like a margarita, where you're still working to emulsify your sugar and citrus a little bit, you'll want to shake, but again, just like the old-fashioned, we're looking to under-dilute because you're serving it over ice. So add your liquids and your ice, and then same basic process, but we're doing a nice hard and quick shake this time. Now, with a two-piece shaker like this, there is always a chance that you'll end up with some drink on yourself, which again, is a good reason to have the smaller tin facing you. So, we shake less because we want this under-diluted since we're straining it over ice, which will continue to dilute as people drink. Now, if we look at comparison, you can see that the cube got a little bit smaller, but when compared to the full dilution, you can see it didn't shrink nearly as much. If you don't have any of the shaker options at home, you can grab a stainless steel insulated travel mug. An insulated mug will stop the heat transferring from your hands to the drink, but then you'll basically just use the same method of shaking. Alright, well hopefully this helps give you some insight into shaking versus stirring and the methods involved. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.